Well, I was greatly honored to even be considered for this award. I've looked at the bios of some of the past people that have gotten it. I know a few of the people who have gotten it, and I'm truly humbled to even be considered among them. And then also I think that everybody enjoys being recognized for what they've accomplished, and I'm certainly among those.
My name is Darnell Carter, and I nominated General John B. Medeiros to be inducted into the rolls of the Springfield City Schools Alumni of Distinction for year 2022. World War II was outcome determinative of the world order as we know it. And anyone who played a role in defeating the Axis powers, regardless of who they were, is an American of note. And to have such an American of note graduating from the same high school you did was pretty significant.
I was very humbled to get the award. When I think of course, how formative my time in Springfield is in everything I've done, to be recognized in that way actually was a huge surprise for me. And I think, it was a good time for me to reflect on all the people who've helped me a lot out along the way, all the teachers, all the good memories, etc. that I had in Springfield. And, it's an incredible honor.
It felt like a long line of awards. So I go back to Laganda Elementary School, where I won a lot of spelling awards and math awards. Then in Roosevelt Middle School, used to be called junior high school, that I received the DAR award. And at that time, they had one award for males and one award for females. Lynn Vermillion was my compadre at Roosevelt. And then in North High School, that I was inducted to the Honor Society with about 5 others in my junior year to lead the senior year. So this seems like a long line of awards from Springfield Public Schools. Secondly, that it's great to be honored for making progress.
When you were in school, did you ever think you would receive an award like this?
No, never crossed my mind. I never did, but it was quite an honor when I found out I did, I'll tell you that.
It brought back a lot of memories, obviously. I think that it really made me feel obviously proud for being from Springfield, Ohio, but made me have a good sense of community and reminded me of my roots.
I was surprised. It was totally unexpected, but I felt a little joy in that there were those back in my home city that recognized some of the things I've done.
It was just a sense of feeling part of the community again.
It was a great honor to receive, and it means a lot to me because I don't think I stood out in high school. But things changed after I got a little bit more serious in life.
It was very, very exciting. I did find out the nominee was Mr. Ed Leventhal, and he's been a dear friend of ours for my entire life and a wonderful example of a good citizen for the Springfield City Schools also. So that was really, really great that he was one of my nominators, and I was extremely excited to find out that I actually did receive this award. It's a big deal in my mind.
It's a tremendous honor for myself as well as my family to receive this award and distinction. I've been truly honored and blessed to receive numerous national and international awards in the early part of my career, but it hits a little bit different to be recognized locally by your own community that has groomed you and raised you as a proud byproduct of a public school district, and I'm really extremely honored and proud to bleed blue and gold.
And I think I got a call from someone who said, "Congratulations, you are an Alumni of Distinction awardee." And prior to that, I didn't know that I had been nominated. And an old friend of mine, Mike Scholzinger, was the one who put my name forth. And so I blame Mike for all of this, and we'll talk later on. But it just so happens that both my dad and my older sister are also Alumni of Distinction award winners. So it just so happens that I'm just carrying on their tradition.
It meant a lot to me to earn this distinction. I've worked really hard over the years, and for my local community to see that and to acknowledge it was really touching.
One was the friends that I made, especially running cross country at Springfield North. The friends that I made, my best friend for the last 50 plus years is a guy that I ran with. And then the other thing that really sticks out to me is when I was in high school, I was really shy, and I didn't really have any direction. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was a senior, and I didn't know if I was going to go to college. I didn't know if I was going to go in the service, get a job. I was just kind of clueless. And my senior year, they had a program at the time where sophomore homerooms had people that helped them just to become acquainted with the school and get around, because schools were three-year high schools then. And Coach Rolfus, who was my cross-country and track coach, he chose me to help with his homeroom. And so at that point, it really gave me a kind of a boost of confidence, because I got to work with the younger kids. And then also at the time there was a reading lab at the school, and a guy was Mr. McGowan, who was the teacher, and I started working in that. And between those two things, I really began to see that a direction that I wanted to go, and that was to go into education, to teach, to coach, and it's kind of everything was kind of stemmed from that.
It was somewhat of a random situation. I was researching something totally unrelated, and as I was going through the microfilm of the Clark County Public Library, an article about Medeiros caught my eye, and he was at the Springfield Country Club, I believe, giving an interview to local Springfield officials. And during this interview, he was plugging Springfield City Schools as being one of the things that inspired him to accomplish what he accomplished. And so I figured that he was a person of interest that should be unearthed and researched and shared with the Springfield City Schools community.
When I was in elementary school, there was the GT program, so Gifted and Talented. I would say that was a really good memory for me, going to the resource center, is what it was called, and just having that day to explore and think and ideate and, just really grow as a person. Loved track and field, so definitely middle school, definitely high school. Great memories on the track bus. Also being on homecoming court and prom court when I was a junior and senior as well at South High School were definitely some highlights of my time.
Well, luckily I have many. And so we start with Laganda Elementary School. And this seems silly, but nevertheless, I was selected by the library to decorate the library showcase window. So every season I decorated it, and it kind of stressed the importance of books and reading. Secondly, my friend Gary Wall and I became the first male hosts at elementary school. At that time, they selected 5th and 6th graders to take care of the 1st and 2nd graders during recess to give the teachers a break. Heretofore, it was only female, but Gary Wall and I became the first male host. So to this day, we are proud of that. Then when I got to Roosevelt, it was the receiving the DAR award was a highlight. Then North High School, that there were many there, because one, I worked on the yearbook, Polaris, and I was in charge of advertising. And this is the first year we came up with the idea that for the advertisers, we would put students in the pictures. Suddenly, people began to pay much more attention to the advertisements because their colleagues were in it. So that really upped the advertising. Secondly, is that because of my counselor, Ruth Watkins, I got my first part-time job at SS Kresge's Five and Dime, downtown Springfield, where I actually worked for 5 years. I became part of the Kresge family for 5 years. And lastly, at North High, that combined, it was the principal, Robert Lynch, the counselor, Ruth Watkins, French teacher, Betty Spriggs, and my history teacher, Dolly Klein Burkhardt, who collaborated and got me a full scholarship to Muskingum University.
Then when we got to Springfield High School, sophomores, and back then, you had to work hard to make the team as a sophomore. We remember back, we started practice August 20th every year. And back then there would be at least 100 and some kids, guys, come out for football. And you had to work hard in order to make Jim McDonald's team. And that's where Jim McDonald, I came up with the 3 Ds, desire, determination, dedication, because each year he would write on the blackboard in the locker room at Evans Stadium, tell us about the 3 Ds.
It was probably being a part of the International Baccalaureate program. We were the first class to do it, actually, and like take all the exams, and you know, we were the first like people to get the diploma. And I think that small group of like if the few of us that were a part of that program, we kind of became like the best of friends, and even now, you know, I still communicate with most of them, and it was the teachers as well.
The first is when I was president of the student council here at the high school. I started a very innovative program called the Student Advisory Group. And this was very unique because the Student Advisory Group I started because we think that some students, when some students were corrected, punished may be too harsh of a word, but when students got in trouble and they may have to stay after school, you know, they were had to pay some type of penalty for getting in trouble, we thought that maybe we should put together an advisory board consisting of teachers and students who can take a look at these penalties that the students were facing. And so the students would have a voice and to say, well, maybe that was too harsh, or here's some extenuating circumstances that we ought to consider. And it was just a very successful program. The other interesting memory was my senior year on the football team. We were 9-1. We were rated in the state. This was before they had the current tournament, have a tournament after the season. Back then they didn't have a tournament. You were just rated 1 through, I think, 15. I think we ended up rated number 9 or 10 in the state. We were 9-1 that year. Just had a phenomenal year.
Jefferson was a very special school. It was, I mean, a lot of people who went to Jefferson will say it just, you know, there's this cliche thing that says it felt like family, but it was a wonderful launching pad because all of those teachers, you think, how can a kindergarten teacher be dedicated? They were, and they made sure that, again, this foundational work was done and done well.
We had great sport athletic teams, which were great to attend. I was in the band. So, you know, and we had so many events where all the students participated.
Mrs. Myers in 4th grade had us go to her house. I think it was out by Northeastern, and we actually got to make maple syrup from her trees that she had on her land, and that was just such a great, fun, kind of a pioneer day experience. But all these years later, I still smile when I think of that. All the way up to middle school at Roosevelt, had a really great experience there too. With one of my favorite teachers was Mr. Lilly, and I always thought it was funny, his name was Billy Lilly, but Mr. Lilly was a social studies teacher, and he really inspired me to learn differently about world events, which has helped me even to this day. And then in high school, so many good teachers, it's hard to even narrow down, but Mrs. Linda Bodie's English classes were just legendary for how she inspired us to learn about Shakespeare and other kind of difficult texts that she would just bring alive and perform for us in the classroom. And she would jump up on the table and really act them out, and it just was so much fun.
Even being as young as I am, you know, a lot of the school districts schools that I went to no longer exist. So Gray Hill Elementary, Clark Middle School, which is now the preschool and administrative building. So those were some of my more fond memories of the school district, and just reminiscing on those old times. And then of course, being able to move in to the new high school and being the first graduating class of, you know, the second rendition of Springfield High School was something that was definitely very memorable.
One is I played football for Springfield North, and back in those days we had a terrific rivalry with Springfield South, and Springfield South used to beat us up pretty regularly in football, but I I think it was my junior year, my senior year, we beat Springfield South. Another one that I thought of is, it's not a great memory, but I was in a play, back in those days, North had some terrific plays, and they had a wonderful theater department. And I think the musical that I was in was Flower Drum Song. He was a famous choreographer and a director from Broadway. And he sat and watched, painfully, I'm sure, watched this high school musical production. And afterwards, Lloyd Lewis introduced us to him. And a few of us got a chance to say hello. Jerome Robbins was his name.
And I won that contest, and then those stickers were in all the city schools as I was growing up. And so that was neat to see that I could make something and that it could exist in the world and other people would see it. That was an instrumental experience for me.
Number one would be choose the friends or the people that you hang around with wisely, because if you are around people who are negative, they're going to drag you down. You want to always be around people who are positive, who want the best for you and the best for others. Just good people. And I was very fortunate as I grew up that the people that I hung around with were people that were very positive and wanted the best for me and for everyone. And then the other thing is a kind of a motto that I live by, and that is that you need to remember this, and this is, you want to, how do I say it? You want to be, now I'm lost.
Oh, good.
You need to remember that your walk talks and your talk talks, but your walk talks louder than your talk talks. And that's, something I kind of live by, because, you can tell people all you want, but if they can see, how you live your life and what you do, that's much greater.
I want as many people of accomplishment and honor to be recognized in conjunction with Springfield High School, which is my alma mater. And it's for Springfield City Schools. So it's something that, it's a two-way thing. I mean, he's honored and we're honored for the recognition he gets, and the reflection, his accomplishments shine on Springfield City Schools.
I would say, as cliche as it might sound, you can do it. Whatever you put your mind to, wherever you want to be, Springfield or otherwise, it's definitely something within your reach. If you can dream it, you can become it. And I think that, that's just something to remember, that your life is one that of your own creation, and it doesn't have to be predetermined. And, to the best of my ability, I do that every day, and I hope other people can as well.
Is that all the teachers are very different, and yet they all have great value if you're looking for value. I also would say that students need to realize why they go to school. And to me, the number one reason they go to school is education and learning. There are some side benefits, such as friendships and socialization. I would think you need to keep your eye on the learning aspect.
To get ahead, I think you've got to get your education without a doubt and follow these professions so you stay in a profession.
The thing that has really made me grow the most is definitely studying abroad. I think when you learn from other people and other cultures and you live in those countries for some time period, you grow as a person. It really challenges your beliefs.
Love yourself. Now, what I mean by loving self, it's kind of easy to say love self. And my point is that students, you need to inquire, you need to ask questions, you need to do your research. Don't be a copycat. Every one of you have a very unique gift that's God-given. Students, you need to find that gift. accept the fact that your parents will teach you certain things, your teachers will teach you certain things, and that's knowledge, and knowledge is good. We all need knowledge, but knowledge is a tool. Knowledge is a tool that we all use. Just think knowledge as a hammer, knowledge as a wrench. It's a tool that you use. You are not knowledge, you use knowledge. You have to learn how to find yourself.
Just follow your passion. If you know you're passionate about something, whether it's being on the stage or cooking or being a mechanic, I don't mean being those things, but if the idea of participation in something really turns you on, then you need to follow that. I think there are some challenges in today's world where everybody expects immediate gratification. And if you have something that you think, even if you're not 100% sure, but you think you want to do, then you've got to commit to hard work. There's nothing of value that comes to any of us without hard work. And that sounds like a cliche, but it's true.
Responsibility, focus, and then the missing word is education.
I just say try lots of different things, explore lots of different opportunities. There will be jobs in 5 years that we don't even know that exist right now, but always be learning, always be thinking about what's coming next. I'm very much a futurist, so I'm always trying to figure out the trends for what will happen 2 to 5 years from now and then planning my day accordingly. And I don't know whether this will work out or not, but whether it's cryptocurrencies and NFTs, which may be nothing in 5 years, or it might be a really big opportunity in 5 years. So just an example like that, where just always be learning, always be challenging yourself, always be thinking about how to improve yourself and better yourself. And
I mean, so many times we hear people talking about how they can't wait to get out and move out of Springfield, and that's certainly understandable. I think Springfield, like many other cities, has its fair share of challenges, but that was never really my mindset. My mindset was really more so making my circumstances and my environment a byproduct of me. So just really trying to improve the community and being, kind of that hope and that light that we wish to see and foster in young people on a daily basis.
I really believe that young people coming up today, even if they don't want to hear this, need to know about character. It's more about giving than taking. It's more about truth-telling than rationalization. It's more about doing the right thing.
If I had one bit of advice, it's don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to reach out to your heroes, to reach out to anyone that you might want to work with, because you're increasing your network, you're opening yourself up to possibilities, and just one of those can make all the difference.
My name is Jack Lentz.
General John B. Medeiros.
My name is Michael Mbagu.
I'm Larry Ray.
And my name is Ron Ryan.
I am Gerald Tillman.
My name is Abdul Wasey.
Kiki Wilson.
Jim Riffle.
Jeremy Mickle.
David Carey.
Carrie Patton Hanasek.
Carlos L. Marshall, and I'm a 2020 Alumni of Distinction.